At 4 a.m., an unseen force lifted me from my bed. Soaring over a modern city, I witnessed a horrifying scene. Countless lifeless figures. A chilling voice echoed, 9 months and 7 days.
You might know me, Alex, from the channels where I share these encounters daily, the raw, unfiltered truth. Believe me, I've seen things. Angels, demons, visitations. This isn't my first rodeo. I've been walking with God for over 3 decades, witnessing incredible prophetic moments. But what happened last May? This was different. This was devastating. Yeah, I'm out here in New Zealand, beautiful place, but right now, it's 4 a.m. I set this up specifically for this moment. Why am I doing this at 4 a.m.? Because this isn't just another encounter. This is the encounter, the one that shook me to my core. I've got a lot to unpack, but let me get straight to the point. Last May, I had a visitation, and it wasn't just powerful. It was the most impactful, soul-crushing vision I've ever been granted. It laid bare the absolute destruction coming to the Western world, our world. Look, this is heavy. You need to be ready for this. This isn't just a story, it's a warning. Let me take you back to that night, last May. I was in bed, just like any other night. Then that sound started. A low thrum, a vibration that built and built. It was moving, coming for me. I didn't know what it was, but it filled the room. Then it arrived, and I was out of bed, lifted, pulled, carried by something incredible. It wasn't a dream. This wasn't my first time experiencing the divine, believe me, but this was beyond anything I'd ever known. We soared through the air at a speed I can barely describe, my messenger and I. He brought me to a modern Western metropolis. We dove down, skimming the rooftops, and I saw people, hundreds, maybe thousands, scattered across the streets, lying still. From up high, it was strange, almost peaceful in a terrifying way. I remember telling the messenger, "This is incredible, astonishing." But then he simply said, "Look again, look closer." And we descended, and that's when it hit me. That's when I saw them. They weren't just lying there. They were gone, dead, utterly horrifyingly lifeless. And then I saw it, crystal clear. They weren't just dead. They were exposed, vulnerable, lying bare on the cold pavement. The horror punched me in the gut so hard, I nearly gasped. I shot back up, practically screaming at the messenger, "They're gone. They're just dead." But it wasn't just shock, anyone. A wave of gut-wrenching grief hit me, a sadness so profound it felt like my own soul was tearing. And in that moment, it was like a massive data download, a direct spiritual injection into my mind. This is it. This is the Mystery Babylon judgment, the revelation playing out right before my eyes. People left in an instant, stripped bare and lifeless, just as the ancient texts described, gone in 1 hour. The sheer crushing weight of that truth, the biblical sorrow over such a fall, it just overwhelmed me. You know, my whole life, I've built a business, tourism specifically. My livelihood, my family's future, it all relies on the Western world, on people being able to travel and thrive. It's the path God led me down. And as I hovered there, looking at that desolate city, a terrifying flash forward hit me. Everything I'd poured my life into, everything we'd worked for, just gone. Poof, vanished. I broke. Right there, in front of the messenger, high above the crumbling city, I just dissolved. I like to think I'm a man who can handle things, right? Not one to just bawl every 5 seconds. But this was beyond me. Uncontrollable, gut-wrenching sobs racked my body. Tears streamed down my face. I couldn't stop it. Then, just as suddenly, the visitation started to fade. 1 minute, I'm soaring. The next, I'm grounded, sitting on a simple seat in some vast, empty field, still crying. The vision was blurring into something softer, like a dream. And then, there she was, my wife. In that hazy dream state, she came to me, wrapping me in her arms, just holding me while I wept. Eventually, the dream faded too, and I jolted awake in my own bed, back in the quiet of my room. Terrifying? Absolutely. Awesome? In the truest sense of the word? Yes. Because when God's Spirit moves like that, when He draws you into something so raw and powerful, it's an incredible, undeniable presence. That May night, everything shifted for me. Now, I know what you're thinking. Alex, was that just one city? Is this about Mystery Babylon just in a single place? At the time, with that download I told you about, I felt it was bigger, much bigger. It felt like the entire Western world collapsing, being ripped apart. But here's the thing, I can't say that with 100% certainty because I haven't received a direct revelation on that specific detail. Look, I've had tons of prophetic visions over the decades, but I've learned my lesson. Unless it comes straight from God, undeniable and clear, I'm hesitant to put my full weight behind it. There's too much room for error, for misinterpretation, especially with something as complex as Scripture. But here's what I can tell you for sure. In the weeks that followed that initial visitation, God gave me more dreams, and every single one of them confirmed the message. It was like He was laying it out. The entire body was going to be cut away, leaving only bones, total destruction. Our house, our world, was built on shaky foundations, and it was going to fall. There was a high-tech, unseen army gathering, ready to strike the West, to take us down when we least expected it. I don't have time to deep dive into all those dream details right now, but trust me, they cemented everything. And on top of all that, God started opening my eyes to the fifth trumpet of Revelation, showing me details I'd never grasped before, literally in my dreams. So yeah, this is where I'm at. I'm hitting the Scriptures hard, trying to line everything up, because if it's not there, if I can't see it confirmed, then I won't believe it. And I know you, listening to this, you're probably thinking the exact same thing.
You know, a lot of folks in the spiritual community, they're stuck on the traditional signs. They're waiting for the red heifer, the temple abomination, all these big events to kick off before they think any real trouble's gonna hit. And I get it. You're probably asking, Alex, if all this is coming, when is it gonna happen? Give me a timeline. Here's the kicker, the piece of the puzzle I haven't fully spilled yet. That mind-blowing vision I had, it dropped in May 2024. Then, come December, so about 6 months later, I was getting antsy. You know how it is when you have these intense spiritual encounters. They feel so real, so imminent. I was thinking, gosh, is this gonna happen tomorrow? Is it happening right now? This deep urgency was just gnawing at my soul. One night, I literally crashed on my couch. Half asleep, that familiar, powerful presence that brought me the vision, it came close. And then I heard it, clear as a bell, etched directly into my mind. 9 months and 7 days. Boom! Immediately, I plunged into a vivid dream. I was driving, my family laughing in the back, and I had this insane rush of excitement, like, yes, this is it. Everything I've been telling everyone, it's here. But just as that thought hit, crack! Stones, big ones, started falling from the sky, smashing my windshield. Chaos. And the scene totally warped. Sirens blared, roads blocked. It was full-blown martial law, police everywhere, a total lockdown. I jolted awake right there on the couch, the words still echoing in my ears, crystal clear. 9 months and 7 days. I practically leaped up, fumbling for a pen, scribbling it down, desperate not to forget a single detail. Now, listen, I've been walking with God for decades. I know how biblical prophecy works. Sometimes 3.5 years isn't literal. 1 hour isn't a literal 60 minutes. It's often symbolic. But this 9 months and 7 days felt different. It felt like a precise, literal countdown. This wasn't a spiritual metaphor. This was a divine clock. That date I scribbled down, December 12th, 2024. So if you do the math, and trust me, I'm terrible at it, but I did it multiple times, 9 months and 7 days from then points directly to September 19th. This year. I know, putting dates out there is scary. It feels dangerous. But that's the day that was shown to me. That's the date that landed in my spirit. And honestly, what is it about September? It's wild because so many people are hitting me up. Everybody's talking about September. I remember my friend Joshua, he's been saying September for ages. It's like the universe is shouting it from every corner. September is going to be a monumental month, mark my words. You know I've been shouting this message from the digital rooftops for years. I've got my YouTube channels, End Time Insights and Global Truth NZ, where I've been trying to get this stuff out, sharing prophetic words even before the whole COVID mess. And I'm not the only one seeing it. There was another seer, a lady who came on a few years back, talking about the fifth candle and how we're in that specific season right now. So, September 19th, that date is just 3.5 days before the Feast of Trumpets. Coincidence? Nah. I'm telling you, I'm always so cautious with specific dates, and it makes me incredibly uncomfortable to share them. But one thing I know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, is that we are living smack dab in that season the prophecies describe. We're on the clock, guys. We are in the final hour. Seriously. Whether it's September or not that exact date, look, I just know we're in that final intense stretch. So many people have seen it, like God showing them the clock, ticking down, seconds before midnight. The ancient prophecies, the symbols, the signs, it's that close. How crazy is that? What if it truly is that close? Here's the thing, and I've said it before. I was just living my life, running my business, deep in my faith, yeah, but honestly, happy, just going along, doing my thing. I don't want the end to come. No, I don't. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, I just started this show. I just launched these channels. I feel like we're not ready. We need to get this message out. I'm not ready for this to happen. But here's the brutal truth. Tomorrow is promised to absolutely no one. You've got to be ready to go anytime. And honestly, I live my life in a way where I'm not married to anything on this earth. I'm trying to be ready to give it all up, even this YouTube channel, everything, just like that. I'm okay with it. If God tells me, stop, shut it all down, it's time to go, then I'm ready. There are other ways, other things I can do. But September, yeah, it's going to be an interesting month. I'll be watching it closely. One thing that genuinely worries me about putting dates out there is this. You know how people make all these bold statements about what's going to happen in September? And what if it doesn't happen? What happens to people's faith then? I've shared this before, but back in the day, during past wars, my family, they'd tell me stories. People thought they'd be raptured before the war, before all the real hardship. But it didn't happen. They had to go through persecution, through incredible hardships. And some people, their faith grew weaker, and they just completely walked away. That's why the only thing I truly worry about with these kinds of dates is that, man, I don't want that on my hands. I completely understand that concern. Because the main theme of my channels, of what I do here, is sharing supernatural encounters. My heart isn't to be just the end time show, not in that traditional sense. But at the same time, when people like me experience these supernatural encounters and we have these direct words, I feel a profound need to share them because I think that's incredibly important. But here's the one thing I want everyone watching to walk away with. Look, just know this. If it's that close, then how incredibly important it is to truly, truly, truly hear from the Lord yourself. Take this message, take it to God, seek Him on this. Don't just go by what you hear from anyone. Test everything.
Yeah, I think you hit it. We should be prepared to die any day anyway. Live like it could be your last day, you know? So make the most of your life. Serve God, serve the people around you. Live a life of love towards each other. And it doesn't matter which day we go, or whether we're raptured or not. What matters is that we serve God and live honorably every single day of our lives. Amen to that. And like you say, in World War II, people died. People have always died, hoping for a rapture. And it doesn't matter if we die or live or are raptured if we live daily for the Lord. Early Christians were martyred horribly, gruesomely, and they did it with grace, with love in their hearts. They would have believed in certain times and dates as well. I remember interviewing Pastor Allen, talking to him on the phone, and he was talking about how the Lord... Okay, so I've been talking about this September 19th date, right? And I get it, it's intense. But here's the kicker, the raw truth. Even when God gives you a timeline, sometimes He can shift it. Like seriously. There are stories, even in the ancient texts, where timings are given, like 70 years or 7 seasons. But it's not always a literal clock. It's a spiritual marker. So listen up. If September 19th comes and goes, if that date passes, guess what? My life ain't stopping. I'm still gonna be out here, living the path God laid out for me, chasing purpose, chasing peace. And you should too. Seriously, don't fall into the trap. I see it happening. People freaking out, selling everything they own, thinking it's the absolute final clock is ticking, game over moment. Please don't do that. No fear, none of that panic. I remember this one time back in the day when I was at college, felt like a lifetime ago. There were these cars plastered with signs. The end is here. Jesus returns today. And people, man, they sold their homes, their futures, everything. And then, nothing. The date came and it went. Can you even imagine that crushing disappointment? The betrayal of hope? Some folks just completely gave up after that. I will not have that on my conscience. This isn't about setting an exact return date for that day, okay? This is about being ready. Look, I get calls, messages, people wanting the hour-by-hour breakdown, and honestly, that's not my game. I'm not here to publish your panic. But my message, man, it's a gut check, isn't it? It's a reality slap. It's a wake-up call to why we're even here. We're not here to stack up worldly treasures, to get comfy in our little bubbles. Nah, we're just passing through, like travelers in a foreign land. Our mission? Simple. Love each other, spread the word, let people know what's coming. This message, it hits me too. It makes me want to dig deeper, to run harder, to be like that lean athlete, staying sharp, staying in the game, fighting to the finish line of faith. Because you know how it goes. When it finally does happen, it's going to be like a thief in the night, unexpected, sudden, and so many, they just won't be ready. You think it's going to be a big flashing billboard? Nah, Jesus was super clear. It ain't gonna be obvious. All right, wrapping this up. Huge shout out to my main man Alex for jumping on this wild call at 4 a.m. Dude, seriously, go get some rest. Appreciate you tuning in so early. Hope we didn't wake anyone up in your house. But hey, we're staying connected, always. Alex, thanks again, man. This was a heavy but needed conversation. This profound encounter serves as a spiritual wake-up call, urging us to embrace readiness, not fear. It reminds us that tomorrow is promised to no one. Our focus must be on living a life of love and service, fostering a deep, personal connection with the divine. Discern all prophecies carefully, trusting God's ultimate timing over specific dates. True faith is strengthened by living honorably each day, irrespective of predictions. Prepare your soul with purpose and unwavering dedication. Share your thoughts and don't forget to follow God's voice for you.